Hello, I'm Stefan and welcome to another episode of Japan at War. Last time we saw Konishi Yukinaga successfully take Busan, Tongnei, and almost saw the complete destruction of the Korean Navy. Now, with the beachhead established into Korea, Konishi was supposed to wait for Kato's second contingent and Kuruta's third to land before marching to Seoul. But he didn't and set out before they got there. It isn't really known why he broke the plan, but it's possible that he was just trying to claim the glory of capturing the capital just by himself. Or maybe it was just a surge of confidence. Or it was even possible that he just didn't want to be there if the Koreans launched a counterattack. Either way, on the third day of the invasion, May 26, Konishi, Soyoshitoshi, and most of the second contingent set out on the road to the Chosun capital, which was around 450 kilometers north over mountainous terrain. They traveled by the central route at a pace of 20 kilometers per day, which is actually a pretty impressive pace. The first town that they came to was Yangsan, which, when they went through, they found it deserted. The magistrate and most of the people had retreated into the hills. The route then took them to the Chakwan Pass. They were slowed down for a little bit by a quick organized force of defenders. The Ashigaru's firelocks, though, soon quickly cut them down, and they passed down to the town of Muryang, leaving around 300 dead Koreans behind them in the mountains. Then they attacked the town of Choyongdo. Taegu was next. General Yi Kak, the left army commander for Gyeongsang province, who had retreated from Tongnei, attempted to rally his scattered forces at the fortress town in the center of the province. Men were also recruited from the northern town of Sangju, but it was all too late. Konishi's forces were upon the city before any real defense could be mounted, and he repeated the same strategy: overwhelm them with bullets and then send men over the walls with ladders. Taegu was captured on May 28th. Korean officials, and really any Korean who had heard the news of the last 3 days, were starting to seriously lose their nerves. But why wouldn't they? The enemy at this point seemed invincible. I mean, firelocks versus bows and arrows? Let me give you an example of the panic. The governor of Gyeongsang, Kim Soo, had issued a call to arms almost immediately after the invasion started, and was going to lead a force south to meet it at Busan. He didn't really get far though. When he had learned of Tongnei, once that happened, he was done. He took back his call to arms and instead called on everyone in his province to flee for their lives. So by May 29th, just 1 week after landing at Busan, it was starting to look like the Japanese army would cover the entire length of Gyeongsang province, half of the distance to the capital of Seoul, without encountering any serious resistance. Royal emissary Yi Ik reported to Seoul on May 31st from Myeongyang on the northern border, saying, "We face today an enemy equipped with divine power and skill. We have nobody to cope with them. I myself have no alternative but to meet death." Meanwhile, news of the Japanese invasion began to filter west to Yusu, home port of Chola Left Navy Commander Yi Sun Shin, at sunset on May 25th. Although it was not fully clear what was happening, Yi chose caution and ordered dispatches sent to the 5 ports under his command to be at full alert, and had his own warships form battle lines at the mouth of the Yusu harbor to defend against any possible attacks. He also decided to send dispatches west to Uyusong, home port of Cholo Right Navy Commander Yi Oki, to Principal Governor Yi Kwang, and then north to the court of Seoul itself. Reports came in the next day that the Japanese had taken Pusan Castle. Then, on the 28th, he got the news that Tongney had fallen. And then possibly the most devastating news, that both the Gyeongsang left and right navies were gone, destroyed by their own commanders, Pak Hong and Won Kyun. Pak had fled, and Won was hiding along the coast west of Koje Island, with just 4 ships remaining of his 100-ship fleet, pleading for Yi to send reinforcements. It would be actually a little over 2 weeks before he would set sail and go to war. There's several reasons for this, actually. Before the war had ever begun, the government of Seoul had not given its commanders in the south the authority to make their own decisions. And there was a lack of orders being sent. So his duty was simply to defend his assigned territory. And going to Won Kyun's aid at the time would have been him abandoning his post. He also wasn't interested in just making any decision without first contemplating, everything. That's how fools acted. And he was no fool. In the 2.5 weeks that followed, he made a couple of really wise decisions. First, that the most effective way to counter the Japanese would be to combine his modest fleet with the vessels in Yi Oki's Cholo Right Navy. Second, Yi wanted information on the waterways of Gyeongsang province before he acted, which is more proof of him being no fool. The southern coast was a maze of reefs and rocks and dangerous tides, any one of which could doom a vessel. So he sent a request for the charts to Gyeongsang Governor Kim Soo and then to Won Kyun. And when they arrived, he made sure to carefully study them. The final thing he did was prepare his men mentally for the battles ahead. The news of the invasion and the fact that they seemed to be invincible in battle was extremely demoralizing. Putting them into battle with that frame of mind would have just been disastrous. Yi wanted to be sure that his men, especially his captains, would not lose their nerves and run at the first sight of the Japanese. He wanted to build up their anger and their confidence to a point that they actually wanted to fight and would never back down, which is pretty smart. This is why Yi Sun Shin waited 2 weeks before setting sail. This was the reason that when Won Kyun begged him to come to his aid, he replied with requests for charts. He refused to act rashly and make irresponsible mistakes, which, let's be honest, there's been nothing but mistakes made so far. Making correct decisions required a calm mind. Now, all this was lost on the naval commander of Gyeongsang, Won Kyun, who was holed up in a cove to the east with his remaining 4 ships. See, to him, he had sent out a call for help that Yi had failed to answer, and this made him quite resentful. He couldn't think of anything other than himself, of his situation, and this was the same attitude that made him destroy his fleet. And you can probably tell that this is just going to come up later. And that is where we will leave you. Konishi ignoring the original plan and continuing to push north, with Naval Commander Yi Sun Shin making his own preparations. Make sure, if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe button and also hit like. It really helps the channel and the algorithm, and I greatly appreciate it. See you next time.